Hello everyone, welcome to the class of Marketing Management. As we were discussing the external environmental factors, today we will discuss about the natural environment. Perhaps people are more concerned about natural environment today compared to earlier days. The finite, non-renewable natural resources are being consumed very fast and there is little likelihood that they can be replenished in the near future. Finite, non-renewable resources that include fuel and gasoline are heading towards a big energy crisis for the world. If we are not able to find out alternative to fossil fuel consumption, it is going to reserve the process of development and growth across the globe. The term energy crisis refers to the general realization that our energy resources are not limitless and hence one needs to conserve energy for future. Stringent legislations are being made across the globe to address this issue. This crisis makes us rethink current allocation of energy resources. Existing sources are being expanded. Traditional resources like coal are being rediscovered. New ones are being sought. Perhaps the most important fact is that attempts are being made to cut waste in energy utilization. Let us consider how the energy crisis is going to affect the overall business scenario as well as the industry. It may lead to reduced driving, causing a reduction in sales, lower new car sales, reducing the original equipment market of tires and increasing cost of petroleum-based raw material for the tire industry. Increased energy cost will automatically increase the cost of goods sold in the market. We have seen how the barrel price for fuel is increasing every day in the international market and its subsequent effect on the increase in fuel prices in our country. People are also getting concerned about water, sound and air pollution levels. The level of observation towards pollution and control mechanism to curb the level of pollution is on an increase. In the recent judgment, the Supreme Court of India has banned the list of industries in New Delhi and also stopped diesel-driven public transportation system in the capital. The role of the government is also changing. Instead of being a facilitator for industrial growth, government is promoting specific industries which creates less pollution. Special interest groups like European Peace Parliament serve as watchdog to protect the nation from pollution menace. Use of plastic is catching attention of people as its use brings more problem to the world. All these developments in the natural environment and concern of people towards these problems are on the rise, leading to more trouble for the modern day marketer. It is demanded of him to produce and market products which are nature friendly and biodegradable for the benefit of consumer and the society at large. Coming on to the next environment, that is the technological environment. Technological changes occurs in two ways. Some changes evolve over a period of time and consumers hardly mark the difference as they do not alter their level of consumption. But some technological changes are so strong and disruptive in nature that they establish a new consumption pattern. Technology is one of the dramatic forces that shape the lives of the people. Every new technology that is of the second order is a force of creative destruction. Technology has accelerated the pace of change in the marketplace. Technological life cycle are shortening day by day and new product introduction has become a phenomena of the marketplace. Companies are open to exploit unlimited opportunities in the field of marketing in providing better products and services. Companies like Sony, 3M, Samsung, Wipro have increased their search and development budget manifold so as to always be ahead of their competitors. Nobody ever thought that revolution in the form of internet technology will bring e-commerce to the forefront of business, and customers will find web as an alternative channel of transaction. Companies like Priceline.com, eBay.com, Amazon.com are some of the successful stories in the era of internet revolution. Today, marketing related transactions have crossed geographical boundaries and people can transact, trade, and post their complaints at real time over the internet. Revolutions in the world of biotechnology, genetic engineering are in the waiting for the benefit of the consumer, and the speed at which these changes embrace our civilization makes past seem to lose its significance as a trendsetter for the future. We are also seeing an increase in regulation due to technological changes. Laws related to protection of intellectual property rights and patents, cybercrime and frauds on internet are on increase. There is a global agreement to control the lawbreakers and bring new technology related business into order. Decades ago, people were hardly aware of products which are the common lingo in this generation. Products like iPods, biometric identifiers, satellite telephones, personal interactive digital assistants, voice programs are examples of new generation products which have contributed towards the accelerated adaptation of new technology in the society. The future is so bright that people need not go to their workplace and can start working from home through telecommunication. Virtual reality is used very often for gathering information about consumer reactions to new product design by offering design alternative in three dimensions and computer generated environment through sound, sight and touch. Today's environment has become three-dimensional through virtual reality games. As we have already mentioned, technology-related regulations are increasing because of both technological and business uncertainty. Therefore, considering all these environmental factors, there is a need of environmental scanning. The goal of monitoring external environment is to influence our marketing strategy by identifying potential opportunities and threats, trends, and strategic uncertainties in the business. It helps the marketer in taking decisions regarding where to compete, how to compete, and on what to compete. The opportunity in business can be a trend or event that could lead to significant upward change in sales and profit margins given the appropriate strategic response. In the absence of a strategic response, a threat will result in a significant downward departure from current sales and profits. If the strategic uncertainty is important and urgent, marketing manager may conduct an in-depth analysis to take an urgent decision. Environmental scanning helps the marketing manager to find out more important forces outside an organization which will shape its business in relation to competitors. Marketing managers should continually track the changes in the outside world. Some organizations have a formal marketing intelligence unit which collects the data on external environment and feeds it into the decision making unit of the firm. It helps the decision makers stretch their decision ideas by incorporating new information into business planning. Whether the information required is just to make the marketing manager aware about marketing trends or needs to be incorporated in the marketing planning and budgeting will decide the immediacy and accuracy level of the data collected from the market. Environmental scanning can be conducted in many ways. Most of the companies follow an easy path to collect marketing intelligence from various commercial sources like government departments and commercial marketing research firms. Sometimes such factual data may not project the underlying spirit of the business. Many companies collect market communications from various sources like the competitors, government policy documents, trade association publications, media reports, and conduct content analysis to arrive at derived meaning for the marketing environment. This method involves deciding about various data sources which may influence business decisions and then literally counting the number of times particular words, sentences, pictures, themes, and symbols appear in a given medium. It can be used effectively to monitor external environmental variables within which the firm operates. Environmental scanning is designed to aid the long-term planners and strategies in the organization. Many people criticize the environmental scanning techniques because of the diffuse and general nature of their results. However, companies use various methods for environmental scanning. Delphi technique is used to increase the meaning of factual data collected from the secondary sources. This technique is an example of methods on which we aggregate the judgment of individual experts who cannot come together physically. This is a qualitative research technique in which we try to collect data from some experts and industry, observe and use their interpretation to map the emerging trends in that particular industry. Around 25 experts who have adequate knowledge on the marketing environment are asked questions pertaining to the marketing environment via emails, faxes, or any other mode of communication which is available easily. They are asked to rank their statements as per importance and to explain the rationale behind such ranking. The aggregate information is sent to all the participants to get their overall agreement and disagreement on the aggregate data, and through this process a coherent agreement is arrived at. Marketers also build scenarios for mapping future market trends. These scenarios can be optimistic scenarios, realistic scenarios, or it can be a pessimistic scenario also. All the scenarios are associated with some probability level as the likelihood chances of occurrence. This will help in developing likely responses pattern for the scenarios. In this method, a group of participants from across the organization identifies the forces of change and look at different configurations of key variable in the market. They identify the crucial trend variable and the degree of their variation to build different scenarios. Scenario building helps in building contingency plans in the event of that scenario happening in the future. Such planning broadens the horizon and prepares the management for the worst situation in the market. Marketing managers also conduct cross-impact analysis of various environmental factors. A cross-impact analysis helps in identifying the extent to which trends or events will impact existing or potential business, the importance of that business unit to the firm, and what is the nature of that impact, that is, immediate or after a period of time. Marketing managers can take decisions depending on the significance of that business unit to the firm and the nature of the impact on the business. Now we shall discuss some of these methods in our next discussion, which is purely related to our Indian marketing environment. Therefore, after studying or discussing all these external environmental variables, we can conclude that marketing managers cannot influence environmental factors the way they do the marketing mix variables. However, business does not exist in isolation and it evolves through interplay with marketing forces. A marketing manager is required to observe and monitor the trend in the external environment and incorporate the results of this observation in business and marketing plans. An observation and evaluation of marketing environment helps the marketing manager to identify opportunities and threats involved in the business and help in designing suitable marketing responses. The competitive environment is also called microenvironment, which covers all those players which have a direct impact on the business of the firm. They include suppliers, competitors, intermediaries, and the general public at large. Public opinion is a guiding force which helps consumer from direct opinion and attitude towards companies' products and services. The competitive environment is the interactive process that occurs in the marketplace. Marketing decisions influence the market and are in turn affected by the counter strategies of competition. The broader macro environment consists of demographical, political, legal, cultural, social, economical, technological, and the natural environment. The legal environment makes marketers aware of the rules of the game before they play the game, failing which they may result in fines, boycotts, legal restrictions, and loss of image of the firm. The demographical environment explains the influence of factors like population growth, age, and income distribution in the population, geographic location, and shift of population from one place to another. Technological environment poses the maximum challenges to the modern marketer. Technology is changing in a revolutionary manner due to which consumption choices are shifting and new products and technologies are influencing the way people are consuming the products and the services. The revolution in the form of e-commerce and has created a virtual world parallel to the current physical world. Marketing manager need to do environmental scanning in order to find out the likely impact of these environmental changes in business. Environmental scanning is possible through various methods like analysis of available secondary data, development of scanning and intelligence team in the organization, Delphi technique, content analysis, and scenario building and cross impact analysis. These methods help in generating business intelligence which can be used by market planners while preparing the marketing plans and programs. Environmental factors are important to the study in marketing because they provide a framework within which marketing strategies are formulated. The environmental factors are among the most dynamic aspects of contemporary business. After studying all these environmental factors which are external to the business, we will try to focus the impact of these external environmental factors on the Indian market. As we have seen that there is an economic reform in our country from 1991 and that economic reforms has tremendously changed the overall business scenario. Development of marketing in India and emergence of Indian market as a force to reckon in the global business front is an interesting subject for marketing students. There are three distinct phases in the growth of Indian market. The phase 1 prevailed previous to the period of independence in which business operated in a subsistent economy. The erstwhile imperial government controlled the output and a large number of customers did not have adequate purchasing power. Debarring a few salaried people working in the British establishment, customers were largely agriculturists. Most of the product were British and ownership stake in large enterprises were vested in them. There were few business houses in the country that could have mass produced and distributed the product during those days. With very few alternatives available in the market, the consumer had limited choice and branded products were a rarity in the market. It was basically a seller's market, product orientation and consumer welfare was unheard of. Whosoever could produce and distribute product with the support of British Empire could achieve success. The second phase started immediately after independence and the new government functioned under socialistic pattern in which the public sector dominated the ownership of large enterprises. There was a rationing and quota system for the private players and the production was limited by the whim of the government decision. Most of the markets remained as seller's market. The seller was in a dominant position due to the protection from government and very limited or no formal competition. The seller dominated the pattern of consumption with product alternatives, price propositions and availability. Their dominated nature also affected the manufacturers and producers of various types of goods and services. There was a ban on the direct entry of foreign participants for giving protection to the domestic sector. This kind of regulatory environment didn't help consumers much because there was still quota restrictions and fewer demand in the market. It was a period when the great Indian middle class was on the rise due to proper education, continuous income from salary and supportive income from land holdings, which helped urban marketers or the urban markets to consolidate and grow with homogeneous competition. This also helped in establishing and strengthening the distribution channels in our domestic market. There was hardly any initiative to protect the interests and rights of the consumer in the 60s and 70s, other than few cases and reprisals here and there. The consumer had no right or platform to complain about the promises and the hazardous practices of the manufacturer until the Consumer Protection Act of 1985 came into existence. Lack of market regulation and controlled competition allowed the manufacturer to sell substandard products in the market. With low per capita income and poor purchasing power, buying of branded products was confined to only few pockets in the urban areas of India. Majority of expenditure was on buying necessities, which saw the community market, which catered to the common man, grow at the nail's pace. Establishment of large manufacturing units helped the cities to grow in size and there emerged the great rural and urban divide. Demand for quality education, decent housing and entry of women to the active workforce brought radical changes to the Indian society, leading to alterations in consumption and decision-making role in the family. The Indian rural market remained unexploited due to poor purchasing power, inaccessible transport and communication system, irregular income and demand pattern due to seasonality of agriculture, irregularity in saving and occupation pattern. The majority of the factors for poor growth of rural market is credited to poor infrastructure in the form of non-availability of transportation and communication facilities. The Indian urban market was undergoing radical changes due to the emergence of large middle class with constant and regular income pattern, adequate saving, support from the rural agricultural income flow in the urban middle class and the benefits of the welfare state in this class. Increase the consumption level and demand for various products. The strength of this market increased due to increase in consumers' knowledge about their rights and the redressal mechanism introduced by the government. Use of mass media in advertising and marketing and strengthening the intermediaries in the trade also helped to improve the market condition in urban areas. Various brands and products had social status connotations and pseudo-consumption culture emerged in Indian market. Indian industries as well as Indian consumer woke up to the global reality in the early 90s due to the liberalization process. The role of the public sector was restricted to operations in few sectors and the market opened up for private and multinational players. Efficiency, quality and value proposition in competition became the mantra of survival in place of state-controlled protection. Abolition of monopoly and restrictive trade practices allowed the firms to have both organic and inorganic growth. Firms started producing higher capacity for the market due to the lifting of quota restrictions also. Mergers and acquisition helped in the emergence of large conglomerates. Companies started consolidating their business in the Indian market. Government allowed foreign businesses. Domestic companies liquidated a part of their ownership and allowed joint venture for smooth flow of foreign equity capital and technology. Large multinationals like Hindustan Lever Limited, Procter & Gamble, LG Electronics, Samsung, Ford, Mitsubishi, Honda and Samsung entered into the market with more financial muscles and better technology for the Indian consumers. Domestic and foreign financial institutions respond their faith in Indian industry through both long-term debt and equity route. Government brought drastic changes in various areas and empirical legislations for growth in business. Indian industry also responded positively by offering better products and services to the consumers. Free market competition gave rise to market power based on competition and efficiency. And urban market became stagnant. Marketers started bridging the gap between the urban and the rural, rich and poor by offering products and services at all the price levels. They also strengthened the distribution channel through new methodologies like supply chain management and improved logistical methods. And just-in-time technology also. Due to such radical changes in the market, product prices came down and quality went up to match global standards. Customers at various suburban places could assess availability of various products matching their pockets. On the other hand, advent of national and cable revolution provided a large platform to marketers for reaching to large audiences through television advertising. It was possible to disseminate product information to the wider audience that can only be done through these methods. High demand in product and services forced the companies to follow shorter product manufacturing cycles and deliver products with global standards to customers who had many options to choose from. Financial institutions started installment schemes which help consumers to acquire products and services instantly and pay for them over a period of time. This kind of augmentation through financial schemes increased market penetration of new products. This attitude of Indian consumer towards spending and product ownership underwent changes. People started spending money in acquiring products and services for comfortable living, and hedonism grew in the society. Spending orientation of customer gave birth to the viable service sector also. The service sector has grown in leaps and bounds in the last few years. People started enjoying life like never before. Services like airline, professional education, tourists, restaurants and hotels, telecom, hospitals and quality services like health services and computer related services grew at a faster rate than in the manufacturing sector. The telecom revolution brought changes in communication service expected by the customers, brought adaptation of mobile telephony, WLL, internet technology, leading to reduction in the telecommunication cost. A relatively faster penetration of personal computer and internet services brought significant changes in the mindset of Indian consumers. The Indian market is evolving from a developing market to an emerging market. The market is en route to a developed market as the choice in the consumption basket of consumer have increased in the last decade. However, one cannot ignore the negative effects also. The divide between the rich and the poor is increasing day by day. A large section of the society is far away from these developments. Marketing managers have to rethink all these issues and try to take a developmental orientation so that more and more customers will enjoy the benefits of liberalization and free market economy. Marketing needs to take developmental orientation to the large Indian market. The recent thrust by Hindustan Lever through its Operation Bharat project Shakti, Procter & Gamble's tie-up with Marico for enhancing rural distribution, the e-Chopa strategy by ITC are indicators that the marketers are trying to woo the rural customer by increasing their consumption. This will only be possible when the purchasing power of the rural consumer will increase. Hindustan Unilever Limited is now trying to market products through self-help groups whereby socially backward and vulnerable people can become part of the mainstream and earn to consume. In the long run, marketing managers' success will be measured on different parameters than the current approach of measure on the basis of market share, revenue and profit. They need to develop market faster and penetrate deeper to find the success. There is no doubt that status of Indian consumer has increased, but percentage is so small that the task now is to bring more people into the higher consumption field. Therefore, we need to understand the economic reforms and its implication on Indian economy. We have already prepared a brief history of evolution of Indian market over the decade. These are some general observations on the behavior of the Indian marketers, consumers and the government in the past. The real impetus to Indian marketing environment came with the reform of Indian market. The decade ending 20th century deserves to be called a landmark period in the history of Indian economy. The country embarked upon a new era of economic policies in 1991, paving the way for the market-driven economy, very different from a highly introverted market and inward-looking growth strategy followed ever since the nation attained independence. The process of economic reforms was taken up to move the country at a rapid pace from state socialism to worldwide popular market-oriented socialism. The crisis of 1991 called for complete macroeconomic adjustment through a package of standardization policy followed by structural adjustment policy. The crisis of 1991 is viewed with three exceptionally difficult conditions, which are a grave external payment crisis, mounting fiscal deficits, and high rate of inflation. A sharp drop of rupees 3327.43 crores in the foreign exchange reserve between August and December 1990 indicated the beginning of the problem. India's foreign currency assets in January 1991 touched the lowest ever at $1 billion, which was hardly sufficient for 2 weeks of imports. the fiscal deficit of the central government alone was as high as 8.4% of gross domestic product. The annual rate of inflation reached its peak with 16.7% in July 1991. The economic strategies introduced in 1991 to rejuvenate Indian economy were based on a combination of measures aimed at economic standardization and structural adjustments. Stabilization measures were necessary in the short run to restore balance of payment equilibrium and to control inflation. Stabilization seeks use of demand and short-run aggregate supply. It was planned to address three problems. Firstly, to bring inflation under control through restrictive monetary policy. Secondly, to correct disequilibrium in balance of payment. And thirdly, to check fiscal deficit by curbing government expenditure. The long-term measure of structural reform was aimed at improving efficiency and productivity and putting the economy back on the path of sustainable growth with equity and social justice. Apart from this, the liberalization policy of 1991 also helped in the emergence of service sector. There has been substantial overall growth in Indian economy over the last 15 years. The most striking change that has been taken place during the post-liberalization era is the structural shift in sectoral growth. The service sector has emerged as the fastest growing sector and has imparted much of the resilience to the overall growth of the economy. This shows that employment is moving away from agriculture to industry to service sector due to gain in productivity in these sectors. This also indicates that technological changes has reduced the potential of comparative advantage based on low wages. There has been a shift in expenditure from manufacturing to value-added services. As far as service sector is concerned, saving and investment also played an important role in the economic reforms. The higher rates of saving and investment for rapid and sustainable growth of gross domestic product, the quick estimate of household saving for 1990 to 2000 is pegged at 19.8%, which is still lower than the pre-reform period saving of 20.5% prior to 1990. Increase in saving is an indicator that the increased GDP of the decade has been distributed favorably among higher income groups whose marginal propensity to save is higher than the lower income group. This decline can also be attributed to the thrust in new economic policy to promote economic growth by promoting the consumption level of middle class and higher income class people. Moreover, the post-reform period has witnessed a considerable change in the saving rates of public and private corporate sectors. Along with this, the exchange rate alignments also plays a crucial role in economic reforms of 1991. The government announced changes in trade policy aiming at increasing exports and reducing degree of regulation and licensing control on foreign trade. The one-shot devaluation of rupee was made in 1991 to make Indian products more competitive in the global market and reduce imports by making them costlier in domestic currency. There has been substantial increase in foreign exchange earning and accumulation in reserves through devaluation of currency. A uniform and completely market-driven exchange rate system with less management was introduced in March 1993. This new floating rate system empowered the market to decide the value of Indian rupee depending on its demand and supply forces. The exchange rate reforms have produced tremendous changes in various parameters of India's external strength. The Indian rupee has become more stable with substantial accumulation of foreign exchange reserve ever since the introduction of market-driven exchange rate. The appreciation of real exchange rates of rupee is partly due to massive inflow of foreign exchange, mainly on account of invisible earning and foreign investment flow in the form of portfolio investment. There are certain key dimensions of Indian market which we must take a look. We have already given a brief sketch of how Indian market have evolved over a period of time. We have also explained how the economic reforms carried out in the country in the late 90s have contributed towards customer-oriented market in India. Emergence of a competitive and free market has attributed to rapid adoption of new products and services in the Indian market. If we have a look at a market and its potential, we need to evaluate size of the market and capacity of consumers to pay in the market. In many cases, the size of the market will be big but does not mean that there will be adequate demand for products and services. This is because population with adequate buying power will be able to support products and services in the market. We will now discuss some of the key indicators of Indian market and analyze the largest finding of National Council of Applied Economic Research data for identifying the emerging trends in Indian market. We will also take a look at economic indicators, social indicators, and human development index to increase our understanding to Indian market. India's real gross domestic product has grown by 8.1% in 2003 and 4, beyond by a strong agricultural recovery of 9.1% from the drought-affected previous years. The industry and service sector also maintained the momentum with GDP growth from these sectors accelerated from 6.4% to 7.1% respectively. The growth recovery of 2003 and 4 was accompanied by continued maintenance of relative stability of prices. Inflation as measured by wholesale price index was 4.6% at the end of March 2004 and runs with an average of 5.5% despite increase in global crude prices. The manufacturing sector was a major contributor to inflation, accounting for 80% of the inflation. The major manufacturing sectors which have contributed to inflation include sugar, edible oil, textile, leather and leather products, basic metal, alloys and iron and steel industry. Apart from this, the housing in India also played a crucial role. There are 249 million buildings in India, of which 179 buildings are used as residences, with a total of 192 million families as per India's population of 2003 and 4. It shows that at an average 6 people lives in one house. The median number of rooms in 2 per household out of 6 million families who have no exclusive room, 4.7 million live in rural areas. 38.5% of the population live in single room houses. Out of the total 220 million married couples, 86 million do not have an exclusive room for their own. 166 million households own their dwellings, making rented accommodations an urban phenomenon. 69 million households in rural India have their own inbuilt bathrooms. More than 48% of the households still don't have permanent structures. It is important to estimate the size of India's market on the basis of household distribution. Perhaps the kind of housing pattern in India which we have seen earlier, we can see that the majority of the households are in rural areas. Both the rural and urban households have grown by 25% in the last decade. Demographic structure or statistics in India can also play a strategic role. Now we will take a look at the Indian market in transition. We can safely conclude that the Indian market is under transition. People are more equipped to buy, and there is an increase in overall purchase situation for a large number of people in the country. We have divided Indian market transition into three stages, namely infancy, adolescence, and maturity. The indicators identified for mapping the transition are income growth level, changes in consumer demands, corporate performance, responses of companies to the emerging market situations, and strategic position taken by companies in different stages. The infancy stage is marked for a period of 1988 to 1993. In this period, the economy had a runaway growth and consumer demand were just beginning to grow. Companies were doing exceptionally well and riding the wave. Being there and offering the product in itself brought success to many firms. There was demand for major products and services, and mere strengthening of distribution and increase in store presence brought more success to the enterprises. Many were state government enterprises in business to consumer markets like television manufacturers. However, the situation changed by the year 1993 and the situation continued till 2000. Economy started slowing down and the demand curve for product went flat. Only those companies who entered early into the market and had first mover advantage could get customers. They had to be aggressive in the market to capture the market share, and most of the gains were at the cost of the other players in the business. Companies started delivering higher value to customer by designing better products and services and building stronger brands in the market through differential competitive advantage. Being there was not enough for them. Being there and with faster and better offer was a major consideration for every company. What mattered most to the companies was the increase in operational efficiency through cost-cutting measures and management of value chain. By the year 2003, the market entered into maturity stage. There was recovery in economy, but growth in the market was flat in nature. Typical demand pattern emerged steadily and slowly with frequent ups and downs, and consumers were more into branded buying during this period. Market witnessed emergence of few successful players and a long list of failures in the market. Companies started prioritizing their market entry and targeted for specific product market segments. Companies started taking pole positions and started making unique offers. Infrastructure related factors are responsible for penetration of products and services in rural and urban areas in India. The major factors include availability of electricity, increase in income level, changing lifestyle pattern. There is a different set of factors responsible for penetration of fast moving consumer goods. Therefore, the private consumption expenditure also increased or changed. The private consumption expenditure of Indian consumer have changed from the year 2003 to 2014. Indian consumers were spending more than 50% of their income in food, beverages and tobacco products. This shows that the consumer are spending money elsewhere for consumption purpose, and we have also seen that the penetration of consumer durable like motorbike and scooters in India has increased on a rapid pace. One of the important factors that has given impetus to the growth in sales of white goods in our country is financial sector reforms. Banks and financial institutions have become liberal in giving loans to the consumer on easy terms and conditions. There has not been substantial increase in the interest rate of banks over the year. This had led to emergence of a large financial class of consumer who would buy products on installment and easy loans. Its story of current ownership and future payment period for goods and services. This is quite evident from the thrust given by bank and financial institution for white goods financing. Overall, rural India has been healthier growing in financing of white goods compared to more consumer durable companies are now heading towards the rural market with financing schemes for the benefit of consumer with limited income. The latest round of Indian Council of Applied Economic Research survey shows that the automobile sector is beyond. Demand for cars will grow at 20% and that of motorcycle at 16%. Mobile phones are increasing by 50%, adding 1.5 million new users every month. The great rural market will depend on durable pumping as much as 55% of the total demand. The rural middle class will consume a hefty 11% of the total cars rolled out in the country by the turn of the decade and 68% of color televisions. A key market driver will be the used cars, jeep and scooter segments, the demand for which will zoom in the coming years. Second-hand cars and jeeps accounted for a seventh of the total demand. NCAER conducted extensive survey on a national sample of 3 lakh households spread across 666 cities and 221 districts across the country. The great Indian consumer market combines the details of what consumers are buying and how their preferences are likely to change by the end of the decade. A total of 20 products are covered along with 7 expendables like washing soaps and health beverages. The survey estimates the demand for service like medical and life insurance, mobile phones and credit cards. The major thrust of the survey is on consumer durable and expendable market with a regional profile of the market by the turn of the decade. The middle class market is projected to touch 28 million households or 154 million people, accounting for 13% of overall population. The survey also take care of growing market categories by way of correlational matrix, enabling marketers to rightly target their wares and services that would determine the future of Indian market. We have also mentioned that consumer durable market is likely to grow very fast. The demand for big ticket like bikes, refrigerators, cars, jeeps will increase, as a result of which number of households with cars and jeep will more than double from around 4% to over 9% by the turn of the decade. The number of bike owners will also double to 28%, whereas the number of scooter owners will remain stagnant at around 8%. Demand for overall automotive categories, which grew by less than 10% between 1995-96 and 2001 to 2, will grow 1.5 times between 2005 to 2010, while demand for color television will more than double from 4.6% to 9.7% annually. But demand for white goods like refrigerator, washing machine and air conditioners will not be that attractive. The survey does not show that rosy a market for expendable market. the survey showed that demand for consumables like soaps and shampoos is expected to taper off. Shampoo demand can fall by around 21% and it can affect the overall consumer market. The survey finds that it is the farmer who bought maximum number of used cars and jeeps, and the used car market is reportedly zooming by 90% and is slated to move further. With used cars and jeep accounting for around a seventh of the total demand for such vehicle, it's hardly surprising that auto giants like Maruti, Hyundai have gone in for separate used car business like True Value and Car Exchange respectively. Rural consumers already count for one-third of the country's refrigerator market, but how do rural middle class differ from their urban counterparts? How likely is this to change at the end of the decade? Do consumption patterns differ across occupational groups in urban and rural areas and across towns of different sizes? And how will they change in future? The survey gave us some crucial answers by way of developing a correlation matrix that details the ownership of different product combinations. Therefore, a brief history of various industries or a brief survey of various industries also highlights the overall economic reforms of the Indian market, such as the agricultural commodity market operates under the normal forces of supply and demand, except for a few commodities whose prices are monitored by government. Regulation and development of agricultural market, standardization and grading of agricultural facilities in agricultural produce market, and assistance for setting up of rural godowns are the major activities falling under agricultural marketing. The government's role is limited mainly to protecting the interest of both consumer and producer through farm support policies and promotions of organized marketing and agricultural commodities. Most of the state government also have enacted necessary legislations for regulation of agricultural produce market. Fertilizers also play a crucial role in the development of agricultural sector. The domestic production of fertilizer falls short of requirement. In case of potassium fertilizer, the entire quantity is imported, whereas prices of phosphatic and potassic fertilizer remain decontrolled. The price of nitrogenous fertilizer is still under control system involving not only cross subsidy between domestic producing plants but also absolute subsidy by keeping the selling price much below the average ex-factory price. The iron and steel industry also have a tremendous change since from the independence and the post-liberalization era. Initially, the development of steel industry was regarded as an opportunity and a challenge. The growth of research, design and development made us self-reliant, and India is now in a position to start up new steel plants without depending on foreign countries. The public sector has also played a significant role in the production of steel. In spite of large production, the iron and steel industry is facing a few problems like inefficiency of public sector units, the problem of administered prices, and underutilization of capacity. Apart from this, cotton and synthetic textile industry is also important for the overall economy, as Indian textiles are predominantly cotton based. Over 70% of the fabric production in the country being accounted by the cotton. Production of raw cotton varies from one year to another depending upon rainfall and weather conditions, and price fluctuations in raw cotton affects the industry. The production of fabric in the cotton and man-made textile industry is continuously increasing. In spite of problems of raw material, problem of power and obsolete machinery and need for modernization, the production in the cotton and man-made textile industry and per capita availability of cotton has also increased. Other than these industries, sugarcane industry is also important for the overall industry, and India is the fourth major sugar producing country in the world. It ranks as the third largest industry in terms of its contribution to the next net value added by manufacturing. It employs nearly 3.25 lakh workers, besides creating extensive indirect employment of 25 million cultivators of sugarcane and distributive agencies. It also contributes to paper industry, and the paper industry, despite enjoying the advantage of an early start, modern paper making in the real sense took off only in the 19th century. Paper industry is also regulated by the Price Control Order, which regulates the mix of paper produced on the basis of raw material. The paper industry can be classified as wood-based, agro-residue-based, and waste paper. Apart from this, drugs and pharmaceutical industry is also playing a crucial role in the overall economic change. The pharmaceutical industry has a multi-dimensional role in all types of economies. Its role in a country like India is still more important from the standpoint of improving the health of general masses and creating job opportunities for millions of people. The pharmaceutical production can be divided into two categories: production of bulk drugs for basic manufacturers and production of formulations or finished preparation in ready-made dosage form. Manufacture of bulk drug is a highly capital-intensive activity with a fairly long gestation period. The bulk drug can be classified into the following categories like antibiotics, anti-dysentery, anti-diabetes, antipyretics, and anti-TB. Second category formulation requires less capital investment and yields high profit margins. These can be classified into injectable tablets, syrups, capsules, and vaccines. As a result of the phenomenal growth of the industry since independence, full or nearly full sufficiency has been achieved in several drugs. The industry has promoted the growth of several ancillary industries covering raw chemicals, chemical intermediaries, packaging material, and machinery and equipment required for the manufacture of various drugs and medicines. Similarly, automobile is one of the industry which also have a crucial impact in the overall economic development. The automobile industry as a manufacturing industry is one of the building blocks in the edifice of a self-reliant economy. As economies open up all over the world, this statement has borne effect as seen from worldwide trend towards globalization. And especially the passenger car industry accelerating free flow of technology, capital as well as international trade. There has been a growth in the demand for passenger car in the Indian domestic market, with a 250 million strong Indian middle class representing a strong buying power. By the turn of the century, the demand for passenger car in India is expected to be around 1.5 billion, which is a good indicator of the economic growth. Apart from this, the overall consumer durable market has a tremendous impact in the economy, and it is this potential which has drawn companies from diverse backgrounds into the new line. Television manufacturer accounted for the largest number of entrants in a couple of years ago. The possible reason could be decreasing color TV sales due to heavy government levies and well-established dealer network, which could be utilized to push up the sales of washing machines. Hence, companies like Videocon, BPL and Onida have plunged into the market. Therefore, taking a look of all the Indian market scenarios, we have seen how different segments of the industrial sector are contributing in the overall growth of the economy. This is all for today's lecture. We will discuss the remaining part in the coming sessions. Have a nice day. Thanks to all of you.